Okay, so Spider-Man Far From Home is amazing. Now, I love Spider-Man. He was in my first video game, I owned about 20 action figures, hell I even got my ex-girlfriend to dye her hair just for a cosplay. Maybe that's why we broke up. Okay, obviously I'm aware that none of you know my taste in films, so I'll put out all the films from the shittest to the best in the Infinity Saga. Please bear in mind that this changes like all the time.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
I wouldn't go in there for 20 minutes.
So here's the timeline for the ones I enjoy the least to the ones I enjoy the most, and right now I'd say Far From Home fits in about here. Full on disclaimer, I am not a film expert. There are so many more channels on this platform who know far more about filmmaking than I do, but in my opinion, Spider-Man Far From Home has the best live action adaptation of a young Peter Parker ever. All jokes aside, we're going to split the video into 3 sections, covering the most important factors that make Holland's Spider-Man my favourite. Cue the music. One of the great aspects of Far From Home is the hilariously relatable romance. Tom Holland and Zendaya's chemistry do a great job selling the absolute fumble. I love seeing characters out of their comfort zone, and Tom plays it so well considering he's had years of experience being an absolute dork.
Yeah, that's my delicious Oreo.
Chris McKenna and Eric Summers nail the relatable humour. It's not shoved in your face, every situation feels organic, so you're left with a genuine feeling of
I do that.
What's been a huge factor into the success of these MCU movies has been the focus on smaller, personal conflicts. An awkward teen romance is something we all identify with. Peter's goal in this movie is to adjust to what he wants. He's just a spider boy who wants to take a vacation. The boy literally turned to dust for 5 years. So when Fury gives him bollocking and Maria Hill pulls that face she always does, you just want to give the boy a hand on the shoulder and tell him that it's all going to be okay. Giving Peter a win at the end of the movie with MJ rewards him for accepting responsibility. I can see this relationship becoming a thematic tool in future films, hoping they draw some inspiration from Spider-Man PS4, whose story has a mature and realistic interpretation of a modern day relationship. So with all that said, this is how a young romance should be handled. It's not Shakespeare, but it's a perfectly awkward mess, and that's what relationships are at that age. I'm excited to see how their relationship develops in the future, and hope that their complexity increases over the next few films, hopefully not ending in a double suicide. Mysterio is genius. A perfect adaptation of the source material to naturally fit into both the universe, while paying complete homage to the pettiness of the comic book counterpart. Even if they turn him from looking like Mr. Spock into one of the most beautiful men ever.
In pursuit of the murder suspect, she is armed, brown hair, sparkling eyes, beautiful smile. Perfect.
It's totally embracive of the ridiculous aspects of the character.
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
I wasn't expecting them to hit the nail on the head so cleanly. Homecoming did a great job making a weird old flying man into a realistic figure, and Far From Home makes the character of Quentin Beck understandable, and a real challenge for Peter psychologically. Endgame's events left Peter in need of clarity, choosing Mysterio, a master of deception, with his sole ability being able to take clarity away, is a perfect match for this young Peter Parker, who still, despite his loss of Uncle Ben, does not know how to handle grief. New avenues into Peter's character open up. We see an almost perfect manipulation from Mysterio, who recognises the gap in Peter's life and fills it. A young Peter, as any kid would, searches for a new idol that can help him lift the weight of the world from his shoulders. He's just finished fighting this guy and mourning this guy. He wants a normal life for a while. Beck offers a way out, and as if perfectly demonstrating our character's flaw, Peter takes it. Villainous characters shouldn't just be... Oh, Jesus. Villainous characters shouldn't just be a complete reverse of our hero, but should... Oh my god. Villainous characters shouldn't just be a complete reverse of our hero, but should complement their flaws. While Mysterio is strong with manipulation and illusion, Peter is easily manipulated and gullible. This is what makes Holland's character a blank page to fill with the essence of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, despite constant adversity, continues to fight. The resilience of his character is what makes him so awe-inspiring. A concept executed to a T in Spider-Verse. It's this resilience that's allowed to develop once Peter makes the mistake of handing over the Edith to Mysterio. In what I consider the best action sequence in any Spider-Man movie, Peter's psyche is attacked. Peter, at a time of needing people to trust and friends around him, can no longer even trust his senses. Peter's focus on his primal instincts, the Peter Tingle or Spider Sense, is a metaphor for his trust he now places in himself. The mistakes made by Peter in this movie have lasting consequences. Mysterio and his pettiness punish Peter for not having faith in himself. It's going to be Spider-Man's job in this next movie to gain the trust of those around him again. Peter's fixation on having a normal life cost him that very thing. I think we'll see Mysterio again. I'm beginning to see a Sinister Six forming here. It's totally possible and plausible that Mysterio found a way out from that final battle with Peter. Well, I do hope so, because I do like watching Jake Gyllenhaal act like a crackhead.
Hi.
In every iteration, responsibility is the core behind Peter Parker's character. Far From Home gets it so right. It's the best Spider-Man Parker conflict since Spider-Man 2. This movie understands that Peter is a young boy, a young brilliant boy who's being asked to go from a broke kid to the next Tony Stark, despite Tony not being able to live up to that himself sometimes.
You know, the question I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in the suit? Just like that.
Peter's struggle between balancing normal life with the fundamental belief with great power comes great responsibility is what makes him so fascinating. Without likeable Peter Parker, no Spider-Man story can work. This Peter is so goddamn lovable because he's trying to do his best for everyone. What Homecoming did so well is show how Peter's desperation to live up to that philosophy can make him lose sight of what he is. A friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. He causes trouble, sawing boats in half and putting his friends in danger, however it's all just the effects of Peter just trying to prove he's worthy of the suit. Far From Home is a perfect progression of Peter's character. Homecoming strips Peter of the gear and gadgets in order to prove he's Spider-Man without the costume. Now, given all the tools and more, with a gaping Tony Stark-sized hole to fill, Peter has to step up to the mark, and everyone expects him to.
I mean, I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, sir.
Bitch, please, you've been to space.
The lesson learned by Peter through his experience with Beck is to trust his own nature. A lot of critics misunderstand what Tony's message really means. It's not that Peter is the next Tony Stark. It's the idea that Peter Parker is the only boy with a philosophy so pure and a nature so fundamentally good that only he could stand a chance of living up to the legend that is Tony Stark. He's not the next Iron Man, he's the first Spider-Man, a symbol of turning pain and grief into growth and strength. And every man who's lived at the bottom and will fight for the little guy. Not because it's his choice, but because it's his responsibility.
What the
Although this film doesn't have the nostalgia of the Raimi movies or doesn't have a director who handles characters' interactions as well as someone like Mark Webb, Far From Home delivered us a story that does justice to the maturing of Peter Parker. Creating a young character that feels as real as Parker, who shares our fears of failure, inadequacy, of meeting expectation, is a crazy achievement. In fact, I took an actual lesson from this film, that bleeds Spider-Man. Anybody can achieve greatness if you only aspire to the growth of your own character. I'm left in anticipation for where they take this version of the webhead next, and after that batshit crazy ending, the possibilities are limitless. The balls are really in your court, Marvel.